Okay, the debate rages over whether or not breakfast is the most important meal of the day or not. And I think a lot of their conversation stems over breakfast cereals. We now know that wheat is not good for the belly or for the brain. You don't have to quote me. You can go and read some of the authorities like David Perlmutter in Grain Brain or the book Wheat Belly. So I'm going to make you a cereal today made out of buckwheat. Now, this isn't a grain, as you might think. It's actually a seed from a fruit plant. Now, it also comes in another version. I've just stuck this label on here called, I call them Buckinis. Sounds like bikinis that you wear. All this is activated buckwheat. It means that somebody has already gone to the effort of soaking it and drying it again for you. Now, I used to buy this until I went to the shop one day and they're like, oh no, we've sold out because everyone in their recipes is calling for Buckinis, which is probably my fault. And then I realised, why am I being so lazy? This costs, I think, half the price. So just for someone to do exactly this, watch carefully, it's not very complicated. I'm going to take 1 cup of buckwheat, put it in here and soak it. Because I'm making a cereal where I actually want it to be a little bit wet so that everything will stick to itself, like the cocoa powder in making our version of Cocoa Pops, I don't need to dry it. But if you were going to make a dry cereal and get it to this bikini stage, stick it in your dehydrator. I've been known to stick it in the sun outside on a sunny day. Make sure it's dry and then you can store it once again. So half the price, your choice. You can go and buy it like that or do the job yourself. So while that's soaking, we're going to prepare the other ingredients. Right, our buckwheat's been soaking now for about an hour and a half. You could soak it longer, but we need to get moving. I'm going to drain it, rinse it. Because I'm making a dehydrated muesli, which is going to mimic a nice toasted muesli, I'm going to keep it wet. If that wasn't the case, I would then dehydrate this soaked buckwheat and it would become the bikinis. I think it's actually a made-up name from a company. All right, so this is just going into my bowl. And then I'm going to add the good stuff. 1/4 cup of raw cacao powder. Now, the difference between cacao and cocoa, apart from the spelling, is that cocoa powder, also a superfood, is roasted, has a slightly different flavour, and cacao powder is the raw version. And they say that it has higher antioxidant values. And apparently, rumour has it that in some bars across the world, people are snorting this. So don't snort it, just eat it. Make delicious breakfast. 1/4 cup. Oh. Waiting for the avalanche. All right. 1/4 cup of cacao. I'm going to use to sweeten this xylitol. It's a natural sweetener. It's about, it's a bit sweeter than normal sugar, but it has 1/3 of the calories and a really low fructose profile. So it's not going to set you up with that addictive craving sugar cycle that table sugar can. I'm using it because I want the granulated texture. 1/2 cup of desiccated coconut. That just means dried. And I've used a really fine coconut. You guys are going to love this. Mix that up just to bind it together. So it's a little bit wet, so that's going to help bind it. But to also make it a bit sticky and add some flavour, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. Coconut oil is such an awesome superfood. Don't be afraid of this fat. So they did some studies with cows. Cows were fed coconut oil into their meal to fatten them up. And they actually found that the cows fed coconut oil lost weight. Not good if you're a farmer trying to fatten your cows. Very good if you're a human being that wants energy and less body fat. So I just use extra virgin coconut oil. There's so many brands out there. I usually go for something that has a low odour. And if your coconut oil starts to smell, I'd say it's probably gone rancid. Maybe you've had it too long. So yeah, just ditch that. Maybe use that for a body butter. Actually, I can talk about that another time, using cacao butter and coconut oil, mixing it half and half, rub it all over your body, make a massage bar. Anyway, another story. All right, that's basically it. And then I'm going to add 1 cup of dried fruits. I'm going to keep them all pretty much red, having a mixture of goji berries. I love goji berries. They're so nice and chewy, and they not only do they lend a great colour, but high in antioxidants. So cranberries, I've got a few different kinds in there. Depending on where you're from, they might be sweetened or unsweetened, so just be mindful of that. And if they've used a sweetened variety, you might want to adjust the amount of sweetener. I don't know if they're currants or dried blueberries. One of the two. Sultanas. Some more of these. More of everything. More is more, right? Mix it up. Last thing I need to do is put it on the dehydrator sheet, or put it on a baking tray lined with baking paper and pop it in the oven. Beautiful. So I encourage you to taste everything as you go along. I mean, I know how this tastes, but I just feel like a little bit now. It reminds me of chocolate crackles. Okay. Sweet, crunchy, chewy, everything. They say that you can't be all things to all people, but this comes close. Now, I'm just going to spread it out so that it can dry in chunks. I actually want it to clump a little bit like a granola. So I'm not trying to get it smooth like I would with crackers. That's it. I'm going to take that to my dehydrator and let that dry for depending. If you're going to eat it straight away, absolutely, you don't even need to let it dry. Just pour that with your nut milk, almond milk, cashew milk. But if you wanted to store it like this and keep it in the pantry, it helps if it's dry. And see how it's clumped? So that's why I'm going to put it in the dehydrator. I might eat that bit. Okay. I'm just checking how everything else is going that we made. Looking pretty good. The chocolate Buckini muesli has just come out of the dehydrator. I've cooled and it's broken up. I'm just going to store it in a jar here. Let's see if I can do this neatly. Hey, what if I did this? Is it going to end well? There's only a little bit on my toes. I'd call that a success story. Now this is so good. I'm not going to wait till breakfast time. I'm going to have it now. Beautiful served also maybe with some fresh blueberries. And because this is really dry, you can just store it in the jar in your pantry. And that's going to be good to last, I don't know, how long would that last? I think that would only last maybe a week in my house. There's our almond milk that we made earlier. Now it's nice and chilled. Every part of this is beautiful. Can you believe this is plant-based? Cold milk, chocolatey breakfast cereal. I'm gonna eat that by myself.